All right, everyone, we're ready to get started. We are broadcasting live here on the webinar, but also live on our YouTube channel. So you can bring your friends to the YouTube channel. And we will also have this recorded and it will be available on the YouTube channel as an archived video. So if you weren't able to come today, we hope you're watching sometime in the future. All right, thank you everybody for coming. If I could have my students who are going to be part of our introductions here come on. All right, and my associate director. Everyone give a little wave, students and associate director. All right, so let's see here. All right, well, thank you everyone for coming. My name is Maria Kennedy. Welcome to the New Directions in Folk Virtual Concert. I'm the co-director of the New Jersey Folk Festival. We have several live performers tonight and several performances that are pre-recorded. We have Paul Lewis, Miriam Mijangos Garcia, Yemi Gamez Castillo, and we also have Josh White Jr. I'm really looking forward to all of these performances. Emily, could you introduce some of our producers and sponsors for this program and introduce yourself?
Of course. So my name is Emily Borowski, and I am the Artist Relations Intern for the festival this year. This program is part of the New Directions in Folk stage of the New Jersey Folk Festival, which is presented by the Department of American Studies at Rutgers, New Brunswick, and the New Jersey Folk Festival Incorporated. Funding for the festival is provided by the School of Arts and Sciences at Rutgers University, the National Endowment for the Arts, and the Middlesex County Office of Arts and History Folklife Program. We have a full schedule of virtual events throughout April. Please see our events calendar at www.njfolkfest.org.
Thank you so much, Emily. And now I'd like to ask our Associate Director, Matt Houston, to talk about the inspiration for our New Directions in Folk stage. And Matt is the person who has booked and managed our Shore stage for our singer-songwriters in the past, and who will be managing the New Directions in Folk stage coming into the future. So Matt, introduce us to this.
Thanks, Maria. As Maria just said, my name is Matt Houston, and I'm the Associate Director of the New Jersey Folk Festival. My love for music and the course American Folk Song and Ballad, part of the American Studies Department at Rutgers University, originally drew me to the festival to serve as a student coordinator and intern for 2 years. Since then, I've had the privilege to serve as the Associate Director of the New Jersey Folk Festival for the last 7 years. As my role has changed from the initial years with the festival, so is the scope of music, the folk genre included. From traditional folk music and Appalachians in the 1800s to Woody Guthrie's labor songs in the 1930s and 1940s, to the folk revival in the 1960s and 70s in the music of Bob Dylan and Joan Baez, change within folk is not new. With new technologies and instrumentation, the folk music landscape continues to change today. This change is the center focus of the New Directions in Folk stage and programming at the New Jersey Folk Festival. Showcasing artist interpretations and creativity in a genre steeped in tradition, using traditional instruments and adding a modern touch, such as Kuf Kanats and Christine Elise, who will be performing a live stream for this year's virtual folk festival on April 24th, where hip hop and spoken word are accompanied by a traditional folk instrument, the harp, is just one example. As society continues to change, so will folk music. The New Jersey Folk Festival will continue to provide our attendees, and in this year's case, listeners and viewers, the ability to listen to music from different perspectives and cultures, not only to learn from, but to be a part of something that brings us all together, music. I'm anxiously awaiting the time we are all out to congregate in person for live music, but until then, let me leave you with the words of Pete Seeger, a true folk icon. My dad, the old professor, used to say, never get into an argument about what's folk music and what isn't.
Thank you so much, Matt. I love that quote. Never getting into an argument about what's folk music and what isn't. So in particular, this concert of the New Directions in Folk is inspired this year by a panel discussion that we broadcast earlier this week on Paul Robeson and folk music. We wanted to look back to the legacy of one of Rutgers' own most famous alumni in order to reimagine what folk music is today in a world where we are confronting some of the issues that Robeson spoke and sang about in his time: the struggles of working people, the inequalities of race and class, the need to organize one's own community around the world to fight for justice. Our musical guests tonight speak to these issues. So we're here to ask, what is folk music today? And I think we may have an answer. It's people using music to sing about community, to sing about justice, to foreground the genres, styles, and traditions of the people in pursuit of a better world. So to get our concert started off, I'm going to play a clip of an interview and a song that's pre-recorded by legendary folk musician Josh White Jr. Josh White Jr. is the son of the legendary Josh White. He's been performing as a singer, guitarist, actor, and social activist for 77 years. He has released 25 albums, starred in 4 TV concert specials, toured the world's greatest stages, and has been awarded a Tony Award for acting and been named Voice of the Peace Corps and Voice of Vista, and honored with several humanitarian awards. We thought it would be really important to ask Josh about his experiences as an African American artist in the 60s and how it informs his perspective on the relationship between music and social justice today. So let me just bring this up for you and share my screen. Oops. Sorry, folks. Little glitch.
Do you have any thoughts on your experience as a Black folk artist in the American folk space?
Not at all, because I started so young. I'm 4 years old when I started singing with Dad, and they were just my family. They were white, there was a few blacks, but it was just the way of life. It was nothing you had to get used to. It was the way it was. It has been within you, and you have that exposure all of your life. That was just the way life is, the way life goes or should go. When I came here in '61 to play this club, there was not a place that would take a Negro person. I had to wind up paying a Black couple to use a room to sleep in, because there was no place here in Michigan at that time that would take me. June 1961, never forget it.
Curious, having lived through that in the 60s, what do you think is happening right now, and what are your perspectives on it?
Yeah, all of us, not just me, would like to think this is the last time that we're going to have to go through anything like this, because people are more aware. They can see things that are videoed or can be filmed that we didn't have back then, and to me, it helps show that we should appreciate the differences. I do music with kids, and I talk to them about, is there one kind of tree? Is there one kind of grass? No. Same thing as those who walk on 2 legs. Come on, appreciate it.
Yeah. And I'm just wondering how you think music, made a difference back then, and how could it make a difference now?
Music always makes a difference, because again, sometimes the spoken word is not going to do it, but you put music to those spoken words, people will hear it a little easier. You give them melody, you'll hear it a little easier. And my gosh, you get it. If you have a good chorus that is catchy, you got it going. You do, because it'll touch you enough that you'll find you're driving along and all of a sudden there's a little line of mine. It comes out and it makes you feel good to sing a song that touches people in a good way. It does, makes you feel good. And that's, how can you beat that?
I'm really glad we got the chance to talk to you just even through Zoom, because it's really wonderful to just get a sense of you as a person and have the chance to ask you questions. So we really appreciate it.
I appreciate it as well. You all take care and get your shots if you haven't already.
I'm getting mine tomorrow.
I did mine this week.
Okay, and I did mine last week. There we go.
Yeah.
Let's
All
do it.
right. Well,
Cheers, guys.
and Buddha, I know you're in the background. So we're gonna come back to Josh Way throughout the program today. Sorry for the little sort of hurried end to the clip there. But right now, I would like us to move on to our first live performer today. And to introduce them, I would love for our student intern Ray Bess to take the mic and introduce our first performer.
Great, thank you, Dr. Kennedy. So our first performer tonight is Paul Lewis, and Paul Lewis is a singer, songwriter, rapper, and producer from San Jose, California. And he enjoys blending a wide array of musical influences together to make a unique and unforgettable sound. Also, Paul currently attends Rutgers University, where he majors in psychology and minors in philosophy. Paul is also involved in the spoken word group Verbal Mayhem. So Paul, can you tell us a bit about what motivates your work, and can you also play a few songs for us?
Paul, are you ready?
Hello?
All right. Welcome, Paul.
Hi. 1 second, sorry. Okay. So I'm doing 2 songs. The first song is about, I guess, my own personal experiences of being Black in America. And I was trying to decide between a simpler title and this one, but I decided to call it Ego Deficiency. Yeah, I guess it's just about that look that you can sometimes get from people who tend to look at you differently, and kind of goes into why that look is there in the first place. So yeah. Yeah, Ego Deficiency. It's a look in their eyes, what you are, they despise. Never met, but who you are is up to them and more. Sometimes you don't wanna be awake, and it's staring at you. Let me demonstrate why you talking this thing about you wear my voice. Cause they cute my leaders and all my people, they silence my people. So let me demonstrate. I grow tired of 40 acres, need to compensate for the suffering of my people. Don't ignore, cause you killed my leaders and all my people. And deny your, and you look in the mirror. What you am do you want to be somebody else? Cause something about you ain't enough. Now you're home and you look in the mirror. What you am do you want
Sorry, it's really hot in here. So I'm actually I'm from California. I live in California. Well, okay. Yeah, I live in California. So we're like 3 hours behind y'all. It's still like the middle of the day. But yeah, I'm gonna turn on my music for the second song. It's called Fire in the Capitol. This one is more about politics, if that wasn't obvious. And yeah, it's not like with a guitar or anything like that. It's background music is just like a beat. So I'm gonna play it and sing it. Yeah. So 1 second. Okay.
Last night, there was a fire in the Capitol. Last night, I got evicted, didn't have a home. Last night, the whole world was in pain. And now I kind of feel like everybody wants to run away. Last night, there was a fire in the Capitol. Last night, I got evicted, didn't have a home. Last night, the whole world was in pain. And now I kind of feel like everybody wants to run away. All around the world, people going crazy, hanging off a cliff. Bye to your baby, say goodbye to your friend. Couldn't stay away, didn't wanna fade. Ain't not what it takes. She said, I'm in love with you, don't be like that. She said, don't look around the world, be right here where we at. We vibing back to back, we don't know how to act. Oh, look, it's coming back, feel like a heart attack. Say what you need, baby, what you need, baby. Been not to sleep lately, in the dream lately. Been losing steam lately, been a fiend lately. Been not to dream lately. What am I chasing? Say what you need, baby, what you need, baby. It's been not to sleep lately, in the dream hazy. I've been losing steam lately, been a fiend lately. Been not to dream lately. I don't ever wanna wake up because last night there was a fire in the Capitol. Last night I got evicted, didn't have a home. Last night the whole world was in pain, and now I kind of feel like everybody wants to run away. Last night there was a fire in the Capitol. Last night I got evicted, didn't have a home. Last night the whole world was in pain, and now I kind of feel like everybody wants to run away.
Thank you very much. That was Fire in the Capitol. And production credits to Pilot Kid. He made the music. Yeah. Thank you. I don't know if do I stay on right now?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to ask you a little question before you head off, but I'm just curious, like how that song came about and what you were thinking about.
Oh, so Fire in the Capitol was about the insurrection that took place on January 6th. At the job that I work out, we give out, or the job that I work out, we give out food to people. So on that day, I actually got a chance to just like be inside and like just work on paperwork. And so I was able to just sit there for the full day and just watch the entire thing unfold. And it literally just looked like it was just a fire at the Capitol. Like the whole Capitol was on fire. And yeah, the line about like I got evicted, didn't have a home. It's a reference to history of being homeless in the past. I was homeless before. And it's also a reference to people who are homeless right now, who still are, and just the different like issues people are dealing with in society right now around what took place in our capital and what takes place on the street every single day.
Tell me a little bit about the sound of it, because it's got such an upbeat sound, but you're talking about
Yeah.
some really intense stuff.
Well, see, I try and think of it from I'm thinking of it from the perspective of the way that my generation tends to deal with traumatic events. We kind of just go online and make a lot of jokes about them. And like, I don't know what we're really supposed to do at this point, like throughout all of 2020. Like, by the time we got to the end to it, I mean, you kind of just have to start laughing at the different horrible things that were taking place. So if I treat it too seriously, like, it can kind of overwhelm you and overtake you and then define you. So I felt like, for me personally, that was the best way to talk about that subject matter. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Paul. I mean, I was really glad we got to know you and that you could be a part of the festival this year, coming all the way from California. So great. Thank you so much. I just want to make sure you didn't have anything else, or that's your cut for today.
Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at BD Paul Taylor. I go by Paul Lewis, but that's my like actual name. Stage name is Lewis. My real name is Paul Taylor. So BD Paul Taylor. And I follow everybody back. And thank you very much.
Great. Thanks so much, Paul. All right. That was really, I was really glad to get to know Paul through Verbal Mayhem, which is a pretty well-known spoken word group here at Rutgers. And yeah, such a great voice and such a great message through your music, Paul. We're gonna cut back to Josh Way Jr., who I think Josh has a really similar kind of attitude in terms of like, being serious, but also being positive. And that's not the way everyone needs to be, but I think, we've all got our different approaches to how to deal with these difficult times and difficult issues. So we're going to go back to a performance from Josh while our next performer, Miriam Majangos Garcia, gets ready to come online. Celia, everything good?
Yeah, Miriam. Oh, hola.
Okay, well, we'll be back in a minute, Miriam, and we'll be ready for you soon.
¿Cómo? Activa tu cámara. Hola, buenas noches.
Oh, wait a minute.
Dicen que aún no, pero solo estamos checando que tu cámara funciona.
Okay, excelente.
We'll be back for Miriam. Okay. Let's go back to Josh Way Jr.
Sí que le toca a él todavía. Solo estaba hablando.
And here's another song that Paul used to do. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Nobody knows but Jesus. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Glory, hallelujah. I looked over Jordan, and what did I see? Coming for to carry me home, a band of angels coming after me. You know they're coming for to carry me home. If you get there before I do, coming for to carry me home, tell all my friends that I'm coming there too. You know I'm coming for to carry me home. You know I looked over Jordan. What did I see? Coming for to carry me home. A band of angels coming after me. You know they're coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home.
All right. That was nice and stirring. At this point, I'd like to introduce my student intern, Celia, who will introduce our next performer. And our next performer, Miriam Majangos Garcia, will be speaking and singing in Spanish. And so Celia will be interpreting and helping us introduce Miriam both in English and Spanish. So Celia, could you come on?
Hello. Y Miriam también, ahora puedes aprender tu cámara y todo. Y te voy a introducir en inglés. Okay. So Miriam Majangos Garcia is a singer, songwriter, and a naturopath. She is also a mother, ethnographer, and an immigrant rights activist. She's a co-author of the book Decolonizing Ethnography, Undocumented Immigrants in New Directions in Social Science. In her own words, she says, I'm Miriam Mijando. I'm a volunteer at Casa Freehold. As a volunteer of Casa Freehold, I've been able to work very closely with the community. We are part of the National Alliance of Trabajadores de Hogar. We fight for the rights against any injustice. The songs I've written are based on what I've seen in my surroundings. ¿Y te puedes traducir en español?
Okay. Buenas noches, mi nombre es Miriam Mijangos. Soy voluntaria de Casa Freehold, que está ubicada en Freehold, New Jersey. Y también soy parte de la Alianza Nacional de Trabajadoras del Hogar. También quería mostrar el libro, ¿verdad? Que es de Decolonizing Ethnography de inmigrantes. Pues este lo trabajamos con el antropólogo Daniel Goldstein y la maestra Carolina Alonso. Y pues ahora pues tengo un par de canciones, las cuales se las puedo cantar. Y pues voy a explicar un poco de la letra de la primera canción.
Okay, déjame traducir. So now I'm just going to say the introduction in Spanish, and básicamente Miriam Mijangos García es una cantante, escribe sus canciones, es naturopática, también es una madre, es una etnógrafa, es una activista para los derechos de inmigrantes. He ayudado a escribir ese libro que está sosteniendo. Y también es una voluntaria en la organización Casa Frijol. So Miriam just said that she is going to start playing her music, and she is going to say a little bit of information according to each song she plays. Y Miriam, puedes empezar las canciones y puedes platicar sobre las canciones también. So yeah, I just told her that she
Sí, ¿está bien si uso el micrófono?
Yep.
¿Sí está bien? Ok. Bueno, esta canción que voy a cantar en este momento lleva por nombre Le doy gracias a mi Dios. Esta canción la escribí a razón prácticamente de este libro, porque en este libro va una historia, la cual es una historia prácticamente de mi vida. También hay una obra de teatro, la cual está también en este libro. Y a consecuencia de eso, yo hice esta canción.
She has this song called she's going to perform her song, I Give Thanks to My God. It's based around experiences of her own life that people can find in the book, and inspired by the work she did for the book. But yeah, puedes empezar.
Le doy gracias al Señor que está en el cielo. Él me dio otra oportunidad de estar en esta tierra linda. Aunque fui discriminada de verdad, caminé yo en el desierto 3 días, yo no comí. Atravesé de noche la frontera y mi Dios me salvó de morir. Migrante, así soy y así he sido, pero siempre así yo he de luchar. Y aunque sufra, yo un día triunfaré. Con mi Dios al frente voy a ganar. Solo Dios que está en el cielo, a un ángel mandó por mí para que guiara mi camino. Fue así como yo lo conseguí. Migrante, así soy y así he sido, pero siempre así yo he de luchar. Aunque sufra, yo un día triunfaré. Con mi Dios al frente voy a ganar. No me da pena que yo soy una inmigrante, pero tengo valor. Gracias. Bueno, enseguida tengo la siguiente canción, que es, esta lleva por nombre Sin Fronteras.
She's playing her
Esta can-
she's playing her next song, and it's called Without Borders.
Esta canción la escribí a raíz de la situación de vida, todo lo que se está pasando a nuestro alrededor, de toda la vida de los inmigrantes, el sufrimiento de los padres y de los niños también.
It's about the circumstances that surround her in the world. It's about immigrants' experiences. It's about immigrant parents as well as the children.
Thank you. Una noche muy linda y hermosa le dije a mi padre que ha pasado ya. Me dijo, hija, en un sueño yo te lo revelo, lo descubrirás. Cuando quise descubrirlo, me dijo que viera las nubes nomás. Mira, las nubes se unen, puedes descubrirlo mirando hacia allá. Mira, las nubes se unen, puedes descubrirlo mirando hacia allá. Oiga, amigo y hermano, uniendo las manos, no te sueltes más. Todos países unidos, no somos vencidos, unámonos más. Vale la pena unirnos si todo es posible, haciéndolo así. No pensemos en fronteras, que ya mucho daño ha pasado ya. No pensemos en fronteras, que ya mucho daño ha pasado ya. No pensemos en fronteras. Mira todo el racismo que en este mundo se mira nomás. ¿Cómo poder instruirnos rompiendo fronteras y uniéndonos más? Que los países hermanos y afroamericanos han sufrido ya. ¿Cómo poder detenernos mirando a los niños llorar y llorar? Porque a muchos padres los han detenido para deportar. Mira, amigo y hermano, extiende tu mano y no permitas más que los derechos humanos demuestren su lucha una vez más. como Martín Luther King, quien fue un hombre fuerte y digno de honor. Hombre que murió en la lucha para defender su comunidad. Hombre que murió en la lucha para defender su comunidad. Todo el mundo que nunca se olvida que hasta la vida lograron quitar. Esa persona inhumana no tiene conciencia para recordar. Esa persona inhumana no tiene conciencia para recordar. Esos son tiempos pasados que ya no queremos que vuelvan jamás. Esos son tiempos pasados que ya no queremos que vuelvan jamás. Gracias. Tengo el siguiente tema, si es posible.
¿Quieres decir unas palabras?
Bueno, esta canción también fue escrita a raíz de la situación que se vive, a veces la falta de unidad del pueblo, que queremos vernos unidos siempre. Entonces, a raíz de eso escribí esa canción que lleva por nombre ¿En dónde está el pueblo?
And this is Marianne's third song, and this is a song titled Where is the Town? It's about town unity and trying to unify the townspeople and organize them to have common goals.
¿Y en dónde está ese pueblo? ¿En dónde está ese pueblo? El pueblo, ¿dónde está? Está exigiendo justicia y pidiendo libertad. Está exigiendo justicia y pidiendo libertad. El pueblo unido está. Mis ojos lo pueden mirar, mis oídos pueden oír el llanto de los papás. Mis oídos pueden oír el llanto de los papás. Se oye el cantar de las aves y al pueblo murmurar, el sufrimiento de los niños y el llanto de los papás. Se oye el cantar de las aves y al pueblo murmurar, el sufrimiento de los niños y el llanto de los papás. El sufrimiento de los niños y el llanto de los papás. pedimos al gobierno federal que no se olvide que el pueblo unido siempre estará. Que no se olvide que el pueblo unido siempre estará. Y a la primera dama le quiero hoy exhortar que sea una olla mi pueblo y así seremos más. Que sea una olla mi pueblo y así seremos más. Que paren los sufrimientos del pueblo, queremos ya. Exigimos la justicia y queremos libertad. Exigimos la justicia y queremos libertad. Gracias. Muchísimas gracias.
Gracias, Miriam. Celia, could you ask a question of Miriam, and that is, how did she decide to start talking about her life through music?
María te pregunta, ¿cuándo decidiste que querías empezar cantando sobre tus experiencias?
Bueno, esta surgió a raíz de, yo sufrí un accidente del trabajo y en esa fue en el 2011 y en esa entonces prácticamente por no tener que hacer, estar en reposo, eso y ver las injusticias, ver lo que estaba pasando a mi alrededor, empecé a participar mucho con las organizaciones, con Casa Frijol, y pues de ahí surgió empezar a escribir, de ver la situación de la vida, lo que estábamos pasando en este país.
¿Quién te lo sugirió? ¿O quién te lo...?
Bueno, empezó a raíz de una participación que teníamos que sacar por medio de la organización en New York. Un compañero tenía el compromiso, él tenía el punto de sacarlo en New York, pero resultó que a última hora, un día antes, me canceló el punto, la participación. Entonces, la directora de mi organización, Rita Dentino, yo le hablé y le dije, mire, me cancelaron el punto. Y pues ella me dijo, ¿y ahora qué vamos a hacer? Yo le pregunté a ella y ella me respondió, tú puedes cantar. Entonces, ahí surgió cuando yo empecé a cantar en el 2012 en New York para un 1 de mayo. Fue mi primera canción que yo escribí.
So she explains that in 2011 she had a work accident and she was on bed rest for a long time and she just was noticing all the injustices in the world. And she was also working at Casa Frijol. And so she started writing, and then through Casa Frijol, they organized her first performance in New York. And that's how she started performing and writing her work.
Oh, gracias, Miriam.
No, de nada, gracias a ustedes por invitarme.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Miriam. I'm very honored to have you, and I was we were so glad. I have your book here too. We were so glad to read your book in our class together and to learn about the way that you helped to organize immigrants in Casa Freehold. So I really admire your work.
Okay, thank you very much.
Dijo que te admira tu trabajo y el trabajo que haces con Casa Freehold y el trabajo que hiciste por el libro. Y leímos el libro para parte de nuestra clase y todos nosotros estudiantes nos gustó lo que estábamos leyendo.
Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you so much, Miriam. Gracias. And thank you so much, Celia, for translating and for doing a lot of work to help us be able to have Miriam here at the concert today. All right, we're going to move on to our next part of the program. All right. Next up, I'm going to ask my student, Emily, to introduce our next guest, who actually will be playing, I'll be playing something that's pre-recorded and available on the internet. She wasn't able to join us today, unfortunately, although she had originally intended to be here. But Emily, could you introduce our next guest?
Of course. Our next guest is Yami Gamez Castillo. She is an artist and community activist based in Newark, New Jersey. She's a graduate research fellow at Rutgers Newark Newest Americans Project and co-founder of I'm Visible Newark, a community-based arts education project that empowers migrant and undocumented communities in New Jersey. She's also a co-executive producer and founder of the Healing Sounds of Newark at the Rutgers Institute of Jazz Studies.
Thank you so much, Emily. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to listen to this song by Yami. And it is, when I first heard it, I was really moved. It really speaks to and was composed about the pandemic that we've all been experiencing. So take a listen here, just a moment.
Don't go out, just stay at home. Read that book you said you finished years ago. Was it COVID? Politics in motion, spreading the disease. Don't feed the commotion, hoarding water. Please check your privilege out, please. Take care of your elders, look out for your youngins. Stay strapped up for real, plug into yourself. Stay focused. Code red, we're fighting COVID. Flatten the curve, this shit's out of line. Who does your government really serve? Don't be a bigot, you just see a snippet. You eat when you can, survival comes first. It's a pandemic, it's global famine, it's mental health, distribute the wealth. It's all the big banks with no fucks. It's big pharma with big bucks. We don't need virus to show. In the end, we ain't so alone. Class, age, race, gender, sex, we got the future to mold. Code red, we're fighting COVID. Governments handing out human rights. Don't forget your mask at home. Hand sanitize, just leave me alone.
And I just want to take you to this. You can hear the song here. This is on the Newest Americans page from the Newark, Rutgers Newark. Yami has her song here called Truth in Song, Stories from the Pandemic, and she talks a little bit about it there. So take a look, check out Yami at the Newest Americans page from Rutgers Newark. All right. So I'm sad we can't have Yami here, and I hope that we can have her perform sometime in the future. But I think all of these musicians who we've been able to hear today really speak to these issues of social justice that I think really animated the sort of golden age of the folk revival, and many of the singer-songwriters who we've had on our stage here at the New Jersey Folk Festival in the past. And I'm really excited about where it's going in the future. I think the range of music styles and genres just speak to how many different perspectives we have to listen to in folk music. But I think the driving force of the social issues of social change and justice brings it all together. So with that, I do want to ask Matt, our Associate Director, to tell us a little bit more about our concert, which is going to be on Rutgers Day, live streamed from the Woodlawn Mansion. So although it will be a virtual concert in the sense that you all, the audience, will be still at home watching from your computers, it'll be a little bit more lively on our end in the sense that all the performers will actually be there in person performing live. So Matt, could you come on and tell us a little bit about what's going to happen?
Sure. On April 24th, 3 different live performances will be taking place via our live stream and the festival's YouTube channel from 1 to 3 p.m. One of those performances will be Koof Knots and Christine Elise, who I mentioned earlier, who will be this year's New Directions in Folk performer. Koof is an MC, poet, songwriter, and Christine is a classically trained harpist, guitarist, pianist, and vocalist. These two have combined forces to create new music and a new album coming out soon. The unlikely pair connected and built the project with a similar vision, wanting to create a positive, forward-thinking music driven by a strong message. Both of individuals are intrinsically motivated to foster community growth through musical expression. Koof and Christine are also motivational creative art workshop leaders and performances in various settings such as hospitals, schools, and community centers. Their mission is to use the power of music, personal experience, and empathetic relation to help individuals grow to meet their fullest potential through music. For more information, updates, and music from Koof and Christine, please check out their website, www.koofknots.com, as well as to learn about the pair. Another way will be to stay tuned for a podcast created by Emily, in which she interviews Koof and Christine as they talk about their love of music and their partnership, as well as the pair performing 2 of their songs. If you do not have time to check out the podcast in the upcoming weeks, please be sure to check out their live performance again on April 24th at 2 p.m. But be sure to show up early for the other 2 performances by Orquestro San Miguel at 1 p.m. and Galantes at 3 p.m. All information is available on our website, www.njfolkfest.org.
Thanks so much, Matt. We're really looking forward to that performance. I know on Rutgers Day, that's the traditional day when everybody comes out for the folk festival. So we're going to try to bring a little bit of the folk festival to you. And in that spirit, I'm going to ask my student interns, Celia and Emma, to step up to the plate here. I'm going to bring you guys to the front. Let's add some spotlights, because I'd like you folks to tell us a little bit about some of the craft vendors who we are featuring on the website this year. So usually if you were to come to the Rutgers Day Festival, you would see just a whole bunch of crafters. And this year, we were only really able to feature a few of them on the website, but we hope to be back to full force or something like it in the future. So I'm going to share my screen so that we can look at some of the craft vendors who we are featuring this year on the website. And I'm going to ask Celia if you would start us off by telling us about our first craft vendor, Kapali Mexican Folk Art.
Sure. So the Kapali Mexican Folk Art is an art vendor collective operated out of New York City that offers a wide variety of handcrafted items from various states of Mexico. The Kapali Collective can be found on their online store at kapalimexfolkart.com. The co-owners, Danny Tepe and Gabriela Bahena, are Mexican Americans living in New York. They've developed this project as a way to express their love of Mexican arts culture, as well as support Mexican artisans directly. For years, Danny and Gabriela have worked directly with the same artisan families. Because of this, they successfully foster an equitable relationship with the artists. The mission of the Kapali Collective is to provide high quality and beautiful art pieces to New Yorkers from all cultures, as well as mindfully source their crafts. Through their business, they strive to act as a support system to their artisans so the local Mexican arts culture can continue for years to come.
Oh, thank you so much, Celia. And next up, Emma, could you tell us about our next three crafters?
Yes, so first here we have Treasures of the Jersey Shore, which is a business that has been featured at the New Jersey Folk Festival since 2015. It's a family-owned business owned and operated by husband and wife team John and Patricia Kingman. Their business specializes in wampum jewelry, which is made from the shell of the quahog, which is a hard shell clam found along the northeastern coast of the United States. Wampum has been used in adornments in indigenous cultures and has a rich, deep history for tribes along the northeastern United States. And the next crafter that we have up is Space Waraku, which is a business specializing in origami, specifically 3D origami. It's owned and operated by Itoko Kobayashi, and they've been participating in the festival with us since 2011. Origami is a traditional Asian art form which involves folding paper into intricate patterns and designs, most of which are centered around nature and other significant symbols of the various cultures that practice it. And lastly, we have Yovia Asal, a mixed media and textile artist specializing in Oya. Oya is a traditional lace-making technique that is native to Yovia's homeland of Turkey, and she's the owner and operator of Anatolia Arts and Crafts Studio. Her studio serves not only as a place for her to create artwork, but also as a space to teach her students a wide variety of artistic disciplines, which includes Oya, crocheting, and Ubru, which is a traditional technique of Turkish marbling.
All right, thank you both for showing our craft vendors this year. You can find information about them on our website, www.njfolkfest.org. And if our other Emma could pop that in the chat if you're interested in going to find out more about these craft vendors, we hope that you will do so. At this point, I do want to encourage those of you who are craft vendors with us in the past, and those of you who might be wanting to be craft vendors in the future, to go to the website and take a look at our new, we're going to introduce new processes for our craft vendor application for next year. We're going to be changing things up a bit, so take note and be ready. We will be opening the application in September and closing the application in November. So we're going to move it up a little bit, and everything's going to be online. So make sure you go and take a look at the website for some more information. And Emma, you can pop that in the chat as well. At this point, I wanted to see if there were any questions or anything going on in the chat that our other students might want to bring up.
In the chat, there aren't any questions currently. There were just like a lot of wonderful comments about the performers and how wonderful they were. There was a question about Paul Lewis and whether he had music on any platform specifically, which the answer is all platforms. But maybe does Miriam have platforms where her music is? Possibly. Like, I don't know if you know that, or if anybody knows that.
I don't think she does, but we can find out, and we'll put that out there into on our website if we find out that she does have music on platforms. Great question. Okay. At this point, I'm going to play. So we've had all of our musical guests for tonight, and I'm going to play another clip from Josh White Jr. I'm going to play the ballad Joe Hill, which was made famous by Paul Robeson. And I want to encourage our listeners, if you were hoping to go and to be on the stage this year and you didn't get the chance, if you're inspired by these songs of social justice, to go to our website and look up our social media stage. We have a social media stage this year in the sense that we're encouraging you to go take a look at some of the prompts that we put up on the website, which include the song Joe Hill, as sung by Paul Robeson and a number of other people. And we're encouraging people to create their own covers and put them on social media, and then tag us at NJ Folk Fest so that we can see our social media stage grow. I also want to encourage you to go to our website, or actually to go to Radio Free Brooklyn, and look at the program Hurdy-Gurdy Songs. And Emma, if you could put the link for that in the chat for Hurdy-Gurdy Songs. It's also, this is a program that is done by one of friends of the Folk Festival, Jorge Arevalo Matias, and he put together a whole program of uncovers where he looks at songs of Paul Robeson and looks at covers of them. So in that spirit, we're hoping that you might make your own cover and that you'll share it on social media and tag us at NJ Folk Fest. And with that, I'm going to take us to one more song from Josh White Jr. Let me just bring it up here. And I'll play us out. And I want to thank everybody for being a part of this concert tonight. I know I wish we could all be at a real stage together, but I think all of the messages that our performers brought to us today were really powerful. And I thank everybody and all of the students and all of our festival staff for helping make this happen. All right, I'm going to share my screen.
Of the songs that I'm doing, this next one is one that calls to be sung by more than one. So wherever you are, whomever you're with, if the field moves you, join me. Here's what I mean. Here's the song. Sing with me this little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, everywhere I go. You can sing loud if you want. I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere
it shine, let it shine, let it shine, right here in my heart, right here in my heart, and know that I'm gonna let it shine, right here in my heart, I'm gonna let it shine. Right here in my heart, you know that I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, everywhere I go, you know that I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, you know I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light, this little light of mine, you know I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, you know I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Say that last part again. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Sing that again. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Swing up and take it on home. Let it shine, let it shine, let it. Here we go. Shine. Good work. You were good. And here's another song that Paul used to do. I dreamed I saw Joe Hill last night, alive as you and me. Says I to Joe, you're 10 years dead. I never died, said he. I never died, said he. In Salt Lake City, Joe, says I, standing by my bed. They framed you on a murder charge, says Joe, but I ain't dead. Says Joe, but I ain't dead. The copper bosses killed you, Joe. They shot you, Joe, says I. Takes more than a gun to kill a man, says Joe. I didn't die, says Joe. I didn't die. And standing there as big as life and smiling with his eyes, says Joe, what they could never kill went on to organize, went on to organize. From San Diego up to Maine, in every mine and mill, where workers defend their rights to live, it's there you'll find Joe Hill. It's there you'll find Joe Hill. I dreamed I saw Joe Hill last night, alive as you and me. Says I to Joe, you're 10 years dead. I never died, said he. I never died, said he.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of our New Directions in Folk concert. So I want to thank all of our performers. Everyone can come up and take a bow. I'm going to bring us to the gallery. If you want to turn anyone who's here on our panelist and if you want to turn your video on, you can, and take a bow. Thanks to all of our students and interns and our staff for being a part of this. And it's rather complex to put together one of these virtual performances with multiple people. And so everybody who was able to make this happen today, many thanks to you. Thank you to our attendees for coming. We really appreciate having you here. And if you weren't able to come today, I hope that you are watching us on our YouTube channel where this will be archived. So thank you, everybody. I'm going to wave goodbye and we're going to turn off our videos for now. And thanks to all of our attendees. Okay, I've stopped the live stream and I've stopped our recording.
It's still live streaming to YouTube, it says, for me at least.